Hi, I want to make a quick video about the Raspberry Pi that I'm having here in the lab. I wasn't that clear on my previous videos about this overall setup and how things are organized here in here. And also I would like to tell some of the good points why this Raspberry Pi is a nice option for a maker. First of all, I'm having the fourth version of the Raspberry Pi, and it's the one having 4 gigabytes of RAM. It's running this desktop environment here, so I'm actually using it for all sorts of applications and for the web browsing and so forth. This keyboard and the mouse are connected directly to the Raspberry, but then of course what's interesting is that we have all these other devices which are also connected there. I'm using this USB hub to get all those USB cables and to fit them there. First of all, we have this Primal multimeter in here. It has its own optically isolated cable, and then we have this logic analyzer. Again, it's a USB device, and it provides, I think, 8 channels, digital channels that you can record. We have this backside multimeter, which is natively not connected, doesn't have any connectivity, but there's another video about those modifications we did. But that's one example on how we can use those general purpose input and output pins of the Raspberry Pi. So that's connected through those. And then we have the signal generator, and then we have the oscilloscope. Those are both now connected with the USB cables, but you could do that using the Ethernet. And I've actually configured my Ethernet port so that the Raspberry Pi is connected wirelessly to the internet, but it's sharing that wireless network through the Ethernet port. But that's not in use at the moment. Of course, for the oscilloscope, you could have that wireless connection as well. So that's an addition to the standard package. But what makes this Raspberry suitable for maker? First of all, they are fairly inexpensive, and if you try all sorts of things, especially when you play with those general purpose I/O pins, you may break the computer, and then again it's not the end of the world. On the other hand, you may want to try different kind of things, different kind of software configurations or different operating systems even, and for that purpose it's nice that everything is installed on this really tiny SD disk. So basically you can prepare different kind of environments on different disks, and then you can just boot on a different disk. That's a bit comparable to those virtualizations or dual boots or what else you have on the traditional computers. Especially for me, because I'm using Linux and Debian derivatives like Ubuntu at work and on my other computers, I'm really happy that they provide this Raspbian distribution for the Raspberry Pi, because then you get all those programs that you're already familiar with. But of course that depends on what kind of environments you usually use. And because it's based on those Linux distributions, you have all sorts of example programs and different kind of open source applications available. So there are thousands and thousands of programs available for you to choose. Yet another aspect to Raspberry Pi is that it's not only inexpensive, but it's also small, and the power requirements are of few watts only. That makes it suitable for embedded applications, so you can build your own projects where you use it. And whatever you developed here, if you use the same hardware, then you can then take that code and those solutions to the field and incorporate them to your project. One example, we can have another video regarding this case, but in here, for example, I have used an old version. I think this is a Raspberry 2 to control this Arduino in here, and the Raspberry is now, it's of course programming that, but it's also having a connection there and taking care of those routines for which we probably need more memory or more computational power, and it's providing the internet access and so forth. I've also used another Raspberry Pi as a gateway server at the home, and there are all sorts of things you can do with them. But I was supposed to keep this video short, so I think that's all for today. We can have more detailed videos on different topics later on, and if you want to see those, please subscribe and like videos. See you on the next one. Bye bye.